The man coming in here, he is one of my best friends in the whole world. I have to say that. Now, he is not on this side of the earth anymore. He has picked up and moved himself to Munich, Germany, and I'm sure that his accent sounds a lot different now, but we need him on here because he is the embodiment of the one-man marketing team that we are always talking about on this show. He heads up marketing for Whiskey Bent Hat Company and RosCo Outdoors. He also has his own brand, and we want to talk with him about how his AI workflows have been since the dawning of 2026 and now how they'll need to change now that OpenClaw is here among us, just released yesterday and drive many millions of views. Welcome to the show, the one and only Will Bailey. Will, get in here. Get in this show.
What up?
Wow.
You know, I was really practicing my German English accent, but sometimes it kind of sounds Indian. So
okay. Just keep it 100. Just keep it where you are, Will. Brother, we appreciate you coming on the show. I know it's 2 or 3 a.m. in Munich, Germany right now.
It's late.
And we appreciate you making the time. What I would love is if you would start out here, my friend, and just tell us, because a lot of people don't know, but you are at the forefront of implementing all of these tools when it comes to what marketers are doing every day and in every way inside of D2C and e-com. I'd love for you to just contrast for us your work life experience in 2025, call it early 2025, 2024, versus what you have been doing now in 2026. Just paint a picture for us of what that looks like.
Yeah. Well, I'm an agency guy. That's kind of how I got into space anyway. Just a number of different agencies. Started actually with Joe at Conversion Engine, and then I think you guys had Colin on here a few weeks ago from Boomin.
That's right.
And so I really took those playbooks where it's like you put on so many different hats at these smaller agencies, and you're just really busy. Like I had to learn conversion rate optimization, email marketing, media buying, creative direction, all that kind of stuff. So eventually, when I moved out of that space, I thought it was going to get a lot calmer, but it didn't. Like you said, I work with a few different brands, and a lot of it is like, I would say the hardest part of 2025 that I just never thought a solution was going to come was context switching. It's just like in the space of e-com, you're constantly going back and forth between, I need to look at a bunch of data, and then I need to make some interpretations of that data. Then I've got to put on my creative hat, right? And then figure out what to do to make the data better.
Yeah.
What stories it's telling. And so I would try to automate some spreadsheet stuff. We would do triple whale and things like that to try to help accumulate the data in a more digestible format, and then trying to get into the creative mode. But it was just a lot of like, when you're going back and forth between multiple ad accounts and email accounts, and trying to, at the same time, you're launching a new product or a sale, or there's just like so much going on, or you're working with a new influencer, or you're trying to build up that process. So in 2025 for me was like, it felt like a tornado, which I'm sure a lot of people felt, but we actually launched RosCo Outdoors last year in September. And for some reason, like going into it, I thought it was like, what is another ad account? I've done this many times. What's another website to manage? But when we launched the thing, I realized I was like, I don't know what delusional land I was living in, But anyway, so it was just 2025 was a tornado.
And somewhere along the way, you got some help, I think, from our friend Phil, who's going to be coming on the show as well, AI extraordinaire. And you began operating in the terminal. And then the things that you've been showing me, I have been incredible. I mean, I have trumpeted them many times here on the show. What's 2026 and beyond look like for you?
Yeah, you guys are going to love Phil on here. Phil, the thing that happened was I was doing my job, and Phil looked over my shoulder, and he was like, you can automate a lot of that. And I was like, yeah, I'm using ChatGPT. And he just was like, it was like I burped in his face. He's like, what did you just say? Like, that's not what I'm talking about. He had been using Claude Code, for years. That is, or not year, well, about a year actually, at his job. Like he was one of the first adopters, So anyway, So he got me in the terminal and hooked me up with the Meta API, the Shopify API, the Klaviyo API, and just kind of taught me how like to do things out of Claude. And then from there, Claude Code specifically. Then from there, yeah, I just was like a madman because I was trying to solve a problem I've had for years, which I, again, like I was saying, it's this context switching thing.
Yeah.
That it's like, if I could just automate the data coming in, and then now I've got AI that can make decisions based on that data with, creative direction ideas, ad account adjustments, products to push that maybe aren't moving. Like all that stuff now comes into one database that Claude Code is just analyzing all the time and just giving me ideas where I don't have to, like my brain energy is just so much more free, right? Because of these systems. So, I mean, I don't know if that.
Colin, that kind of, it sounds like what he's describing is akin to what Taylor Holiday was on here talking about with the profit engineer and all
Basically.
of that basis. And, having 50% of your work time cut simply because, the mechanics of evaluation, uploading ads into the ads manager, et cetera, has been cut. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, I mean that is exactly what it sounds like. I'd be curious, Will, if it just like how should the business owner who they have no AI experience, how should they first jump into this? Because I know a ton of brand owners, I know a ton of business owners that are in this awkward stage where they know that they need to be utilizing AI so much, and they see all of these success stories, and there's a lot of this FOMO right now. What are those first couple steps that they need to take in order to get them from novice, doesn't know anything, to, okay, this is a really movable piece of my business now?
That's a great question. Yeah, I don't know. I've actually been thinking about this. I think for me, it was kind of one of those things, like I was dumb enough to try it.
Yeah.
Like even now when I'm talking to like my engineer friends, it's like I'm like saying things that, trying to navigate through MCPs and APIs and command line interfaces, and it's like I still am not using the right terms.
Sure.
But I just was dumb enough to kind of try it. So I mean, I would think you start off with just getting the basics of what Claude Code is and how like a command line interface works. I mean, even right now, I'm not the person to try to teach someone that, but I do think there's plenty of resources that if you could just get started in the terminal, like the learning curve is pretty steep, like at the very beginning, but once you get over that hump of like understanding, like, okay, this thing is writing code for me that plugs in with tools I'm already using, and can automate almost everything that I'm doing as far as like busy office work goes, then I think once you get like that first project done, then I think you see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's just hard to stop. Like you just can't turn it off.
Well, I've been seeing this now. I'm still not really using command line interface. I'm operating Claude Code, but I'm just operating in the desktop app where it says Claude Code.
Yeah,
I just took that route, and I just started talking with it and telling it what I wanted to accomplish, and asking it to teach me, telling me, "Hey, I don't understand that. Explain it like I'm 5, like I'm a golden retriever.
Totally.
I don't know how to do that. Try another way." That's the approach that I've taken. I mean, is that fair for people to get into, or is that
no?
Too stupid?
Yeah, actually, yeah. You just reminded me. Actually, when I got started, I opened up the command line interface with Claude Code, and then I would have Claude Chat on my other monitor, and I'm literally like pasting responses back and forth where they're just like talking to each other, and I'm like explaining at the beginning, like you said, like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to connect this tool with Claude Code. What do I do? And then it's just communicating for me. And of course that takes time, but yeah, a lot of, Phil actually gave me some of the best advice when I started. And he said, don't try to understand how it works. If you do that, you're going to waste a ton of context and a ton of time, because like I said, I'm not an engineer. So it's doing things that it would take me forever to try to comprehend. And so that was it.
So you're waking up now And instead of manually adjusting ad accounts, et cetera, you're waking up and you're getting a summary of everything that happened. I mean, I think my understanding is you're making wholesale adjustments on the website, updates to PDPs, et cetera, all with a few clicks inside of the terminal. But Claude has just released its OpenClaw situation. I think probably your workflows have completely changed. If you would describe this for me, because I've yet to, volley into OpenClaw itself, but it seems like the team at Anthropic just keeps releasing new
Crazy.
version, new update, new this and new that every other day.
Yeah.
And now it seems like OpenClaw's entire interface and its abilities have been brought over to Claude natively. Is that the case? And how does that change your current workflows, et cetera, as they sit now?
Yeah. Like OpenClaw was so groundbreaking because if you were in the command line interface, like one of the things you just were like on your knees praying for was like, I want to do this from my phone. Like that's one of the reasons ChatGPT, was so useful. It's like anywhere I go, I can just, text it from my phone, I get the answer. Well, with command line interfaces, it's not that simple because you're working off of files on your computer. And so, anyway, when OpenClaw came out and everybody's buying these Mac minis and it's running all the time, like I had to try to figure out what's my solution for that because I didn't really trust OpenClaw, to be honest. And so anyway, I got into the virtual private server space and all this stuff. And I was using this program called Termius, which allows you to like get into your virtual private server computer up in the cloud on my phone in a command line interface. It took me like probably 2 days to learn all that. Like it was so ridiculous to try to get it on my phone. And so now with Cloud Code channels, they basically just integrated with Discord. And so now, like actually today, before we got on here, I sent an email and I updated the website all via Discord. I just uploaded my creative into Discord and said, hey, I need you to update the hero image. And then 30 seconds later, it's done, And so changing it was kind of a pain, but it was totally worth it. Like, I don't want to use Termius on my phone. Like it's kind of buggy and it just kind of sucks to use. I can't really type on the little bitty keyboard. So now that it's in Discord, it's just like, I mean, I don't even know exactly how to describe it, but I pretty much had to rebuild my whole system. But Cloud Code did it for me, so it's okay.
That's nice. And I've never used Discord really. I mean, is it essentially like Slack? I mean,
it's like Slack. I would say it's like Slack. Yeah.
Colin, I would really like to know. I'd like to know like 1, 2, 3. I mean, I'd like to know what all the things that Will is doing specifically, like with all of the things. But I don't want to cut you off. Where should we take this next?
No, I mean, I just one more before we dive into that. Jensen was on a podcast yesterday, and he basically said AGI has been achieved. He said that.
He did say that.
He said that and basically was like, we have achieved AGI. And I think he kind of rolled it back a little bit, but I think we're approaching kind of that level. We're getting very close to it. I'd be very curious what your take is on that timeline now. How much more we're compressed? Is it a year? Is it 2 months? Is it 6 months away? And then how do our workflows change once that happens? Because I think a lot of people are basically in this awkward camp of, well, I don't want to learn it because there's just going to be a new update 2 weeks from now that's basically just going to displace what I just learned. And then once AGI comes out, well, why did I learn any of that? So how are you dealing with that internally while you're sifting through all the builds?
I'm just ignoring it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, no, I really don't know. I mean, I hope it's further away than 2 months. I hope it's further away than a year, for the sake of it. It's funny because like when all this AI stuff was going, I knew for sure I was going to lose my job as a digital marketer. It's just like, it is inevitable that at some point in time, Facebook is going to have a chat bot where I just say, I want to run some e-commerce ads. Here's my product. And that's it. You don't have to do anything else.
And they're trying to do that.
They're trying
exactly.
Yeah.
And so, that's why I dove into all this stuff, because I'm like, well, at least at some point, maybe I'll have a job with some type of AI implementation thing, you know. But yeah, the AG, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. I just kind of have my head down, trying to keep my job currently.
Okay.
That's fair.
Well, you're doing a good job of that.
Yeah,
We know you're
that's
doing a good job of that. Okay, tell us explicitly, okay, in your new setup, and what are the 3 to 5 things that you're doing every day that used to take all of your time,
Yep.
context switching, et cetera. Now the context is baked in with
Yeah.
your AI, your agent, et cetera. It's coming to you. And now you're saying yes, no, here, there, consider that, think about that, research
Yeah.
this, et cetera. Just name them all for us.
Yeah. So when OpenClaw came out, you know, people were doing things via Telegram. So what I did is I just built my own website, basically, that's, you know, totally locked. But I have a full dashboard of my virtual private server on this website, and every single day, I get this database that is constantly getting pulled. My AI analyzes that database and tells me how performance was compared to like a 1 day period, 3 day period, 7 day period, 14 day period, and 30 day period. And that's like kind of how it's somewhat learned over the past 6 months, so to speak, and with some backfilled data. So because of that, when I wake up in the morning, I get this text at 7:30, and that is a text via Telegram. I just don't do anything else with it. Telegram notifies me, hey, your dashboard's updated. So then I go look at it, and on that dashboard with all the brands I'm working with, it will tell me all the ads that are going, and then suggestions on what we do with budgets. Do we kill the ad, etc. And that's just a yes, no button. So when I click that button, it's plugged into the Anthropic API with my Meta app. And then it'll raise the budget by 15% or 10%, or lower it by 10%. And so within like 15 minutes in the morning, I'm done pretty much with my ad account changes. I mean, that doesn't really replace like if I need new creative, which that it'll also notify me like, hey, we're kind of in the red here. It'd be good to get some more prospecting creative. And there's a whole system to that too. But essentially that has, you know, shaved off an hour or two per day of having to get into ad accounts and try to figure out what decisions to make.
Ad account management. What about website updates? It sounds like you're doing that. You're saying change this PDP, change the hero image, put up this banner, et cetera. All of that you're operating from within Claude now.
For sure. So we've got a schedule on like when we're updating hero images. And so that's just a skill now I have in Claude, where I give it the image that I want to update every 2 weeks. I just send it an image, it crops it, updates it, asks me if I want, you know, what the copy needs to be. And then with new products, this is something for Whiskey Bent that I feel like it's our bread and butter, but with new product drops, you know, that involves like all kinds of website changes, email blasts, text message, obviously, and then ads. And so we have a whole skilled playbook with Claude that when we have a new hat, the website's updated, the ads are launched, and the email is scheduled within like 10 minutes. Wow. You know, I mean, the creative isn't replaced. That's the hard part, you know, but when I have the creative and I put it in the right folders, I just say, okay, let's go launch the new hat. Oh, and it'll also build the product in Shopify. So it knows all the tags, the title of the product, the pricing, SKU, inventory numbers, all that. So all that is done within 15 minutes. That used to take me all day long.
Are you getting consolidated reports on your email, your automations, your flows? What does, you know, I know you've got something to do with campaigns. What does that process look like? How does that start? Does it come up with the ideas, et cetera? What's that look like?
Yeah. So this was harder to build. And I would actually say it's still in the, like, I need a V2 version basically. But basically what's going on is I have a inventory auditing system that is auditing just all my inventory, how it's moving, the purchase rate, and all that stuff. And then with that data, I'm looking at what products do I need to push. And so that is what's plugged in with my campaigns. That is not like new product drops or sales or offers like that. And so then I'm getting ideas, and then I can just tell it like, yeah, let's go launch that hat. And so it'll just use the product image. You know, it's a pretty basic email, but that's kind of how that's all working.
I love it.
Will, how many total roles do you think you've absorbed under the umbrella that is you?
Well, okay, the thing we didn't even mention is I also do our customer service implementation. I don't do
I mean, there we go. Yeah, how many roles is this? This is like 6 roles at this point.
As far as the agency used to go, I worked at, I would have been the creative director, the media buyer, the email person, the developer. Now I'm also customizing our website via
There we go.
Customer service manager, so to speak. I mean, I'm not in like the weeds of talking to customers, but so I mean, there's probably 5. I don't know if there would be any more.
That's wild to me, because I'm just thinking about, Chris, like our hot jobs and how much each of those roles cost a Shopify brand.
Yeah.
And then if you can roll them up, and I basically just see how this would bake out into all brands are just going to need one Will.
Yeah,
And
that's the case.
And then that's it. There is
Yeah.
nobody else. I just see, and like Will is the final form of how brands are going to be operating in 6 months from now.
Well, this is why I just went on Cody Whittick's podcast or at Kinship and said this exact same thing. The future of marketing is managing machines instead of managing humans. It's a person bringing a team of agents to the table, exactly like Cody Schneider, who came on here and told us this exact same thing. It's the offer that Taylor Holiday and CTC have moved to, because the reality is that now all of this is possible. And if you can consolidate this, then not only does your OpEx go down, but your capabilities run forth as this generalist who is good at multiple things is imbuing his team of machines with methodology and letting the performance run forth. This is the future of marketing, and it's not just the future; it's the now.
Yeah. I have a story to share with you guys that I think you'll find interesting. But 2 days ago, I was talking with my friend. He's very high up at Microsoft. He's amazing over there. They've now implemented, and I don't know how widespread this is across Microsoft, where he has to now meet with his virtual clone of his boss first for a one-on-one before the actual real version, to see if the virtual clone can figure out the issues first.
That's hilarious.
How insane is that we're going to be approaching that level where it's like, yeah, he's already met with Darish. Like 7 employees have already met with Darish already. And Darish didn't even do anything. Like he just made a clone of himself.
Yeah.
That's the future, uploading your consciousness into the cloud, man. Upload that consciousness into the cloud.
That's Chris's favorite.
We appreciate you joining us. What we want is you come back to us, work out all of your workflows on Open Claude, bring back a screen share, and we'll talk about it. And we appreciate what you're doing, my friend. We're going to be following along. We appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, man.